What's up guys, J911 here and welcome to the third episode of the Road to Power Career Mode. In this episode you'll see obviously the final of the European International Cup. If you haven't seen how we got here, go back. I'm sure you'll love to watch the second episode where we went through all of that. And yeah, watch the prior episodes because you'll understand how this whole series is going to work and stuff like that. But anyways, I'm going to tell you first up, I plan to have this whole episode done live, and I did record it live. The only problem is the face cam of it did corrupt, so I could obviously just give you the audio over the background, but I don't think that's kind of fair. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to talk over the top of it. We'll do a post-com of it, but I'm going to show you the whole gameplay of the whole entire game so you can kind of get to grips on how I play FIFA, how I obviously am winning games from, obviously you can see in the last episode how I'm winning games on Legendary, and hopefully this might be able to help you guys a little bit on maybe how to get better on FIFA against the AI or even against like playing online opponents. But anyways, as you can see, obviously I did all this live and I talked about how I wanted to have the team for this final, and I decided that I needed to change out Joe Gomez in defense. He was a little bit tired. A lot of the defenders were tired. Obviously I hadn't had a lot of rotation between them, so I decided to bring in Holgate, who can play in centre back. Holgate to jump in for Joe Gomez. So yeah, that's pretty much the only main change, but for the rest of the team it should be all the same. And I did decide that Rashford was going to stay on the bench for this game, leave Ibrahimovic up front, and yeah, we'll see how it goes from there. What I'm going to try and do in this episode as well is start what I did also in the live com. What I was saying was a bit of a review on the players that I've got in this kind of starting 11. And pretty much going through every position from the striker and working our way down, and just kind of saying my little review on them and how I thought they've gone in this pre-season friendly and what kind of areas I need to improve on. Anyway, so yeah, I was just kind of mucking around at this point, and I was talking about probably starting off with the starting 11 and how we've done really well in the tournament so far, and luckily to get through that last round on penalties. Definitely was very lucky for us to get through after missing the first penalty, but like I said, haven't watched that episode, go back and watch it. Anyway, so we're going into this against this team, Bursaspor, I think that's how you pronounce it, from Turkey. Obviously this is a massive game. We can bring in a lot more funds, and I can definitely play it around with a lot more players. If we do get this extra 1.5 million or so, it really does help us, especially for like pre-contract signings. You can get 2-3 decent players for that type of money, which I think is really important. So anyways, like I was saying, we'll go through some of the players. So obviously at the start, at the top, we've had Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Practically scored everything for us so far. He's been the biggest influencer of this team, and with my type of play style, the way I like to play, I definitely love a big beefy player up front. For a couple of reasons. So first up, from goal kicks, pretty much how I've taken it from now on, ever since I started playing a little bit more online this season, this year in FIFA. Always doing the long goal kick to obviously the striker that usually gets on the end of it. This is really effective for when you have a stronger type of striker that can get a header in over the defense, as especially online. The opposition always presses that defense line of yours. Apologies for that. But anyways, yeah. So like I was saying, the opposition always presses that back line. In offline, you can play the ball easy to your defense, and I do kind of mix it up a little bit between the two. But most of the time, I like playing the ball over the top, straight over to the striker. And Zlatan Ibrahimovic, 6'5", like I was saying in the last episode, does get onto the end of a lot of headers, and is easily able to just tap the ball back to the cam or somebody else, right? So yeah, like I was saying, Zlatan Ibrahimovic has definitely been great. His type of play specifically is very important. As you can see, a lot of my play that I like to, my play style involves a lot of passing and holding of the ball in possession. As we go away and lose the ball. But anyways, yeah, so holding the ball, and it's very important for Zlatan Ibrahimovic to, as a striker, in my game style, to do what he does in real life and pretty much hold the ball, let everybody else run around him, all the wingers and the cam and stuff like that, and they run around him as he holds up the ball and makes an easy, like a great pass in. So the striker needs to for me, need to have a couple of key characteristics. Obviously have nice and tall so he can win those aerial battles if he can. Otherwise I have to play a different type of play style. Whether it's a pacey striker that's shorter to kind of more make the runs in behind. But yeah, so I like my strikers to be nice and tall, and then I obviously like them to have really high shooting, kind of finishing and stats in those key areas, as they are sometimes able just to take a turn as they're holding up the ball, take a turn and take a long shot if the defense is like tracking the runs of the players, which I think is really important as well. But yeah, so there's that, and also obviously they need some sort of decent passing or kind of distribution techniques so they can actually get it to those players that are making the runs around them, which I feel like Zlatan Ibrahimovic himself is probably the best candidate for that. Some other kind of players that I would think of replacing Zlatan Ibrahimovic with that type of play style would eventually be someone, say, like a Higuain potentially, or a Benzema potentially as well, and as they are nice and stocky players in the game, which I feel like is really good on my type of play style. But yeah, Zlatan Ibrahimovic has been perfect so far in this season. Hopefully he keeps it up and he doesn't want to retire at the end of the season, because I'm really enjoying him, especially through this preseason tournament. Moving into the wingers, we've had Iwobi out on the left, and I've been very up and down with Iwobi. He seems to take a lot more shots than Watmore on the right. However, I think that comes down to me kind of understanding that that Ibrahimovic does play the ball a lot better than play good passes in and stuff like that than the wingers, and Iwobi just seems to be making the runs in behind. Probably a little bit less than Watmore, however. He always seems to be up forward when a good shooting opportunity comes up, and he's bottled every single one of them. So Iwobi, my kind of instinct so far is that he's kind of just been a bit of a letdown. He's able to do a lot of passing, but and he's nice and quick as well. He just doesn't seem to, he can't finish a single ball. The only difference with him and Watmore is probably Watmore's ability to make runs in behind and really pressure the defense a lot more than Iwobi. They both have decent pace, and they are decent with the ball, got decent dribbling and stuff like that, but just both of them can't finish, I think. And Watmore, as you can see over here, is making a lot of space for himself out on the right, and he does get in the right places at the right time sometimes. So I feel like Watmore is just a little bit better, but they're both kind of a bit dodgy with their finishing, that I think is really important for a winger, and potentially something that we need to improve in this first transfer window, or especially for the next one, which is very important. So yeah, the two wingers, they're doing pretty decent and they're making the good runs in behind and stuff. Just do need a little bit more flair, and don't make sure that they don't just leave Ibrahimovic or whoever the striker is to do all the work, as they're not finishing enough balls, I think. But anyways, yeah, so moving on to our cam, we have Pereira, and I feel like Pereira is one of the best players as well in this team. Right now he's taken all the set pieces as well that we've got. And I feel like that's very important, but the only thing is he's not very good at those set pieces, which I feel like he needs to do. I need a better set piece taker. As we scored a goal here with Foster Mensah, bringing us 1-0 up in the 40th minute. It all started off with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, like I said, holding the ball up. As you see in the replay, he does this chip through ball straight away. Over to Iwobi, nice fake shot in, plays it through to Foster Mensah and just buries it into that bottom left-hand corner. I'm very, very happy with the team. And that's the first goal for Foster Mensah, the first goal by Manchester United without our key man, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So I feel like that was a really good way to start off this game, 1-0 up in the final. But anyways, yeah, like I was saying, Pereira, the main problem I see with him is that he's just got low stamina. He just doesn't last a full 90 minutes, and I pretty much pulled him off every single game, I think, which is one of the biggest problems with him. Obviously, we can get a different set-piece taker, Johnson makes a great save from a header. But yeah, Pereira, he just doesn't have enough stamina to last a whole 90 minutes. But besides that, he makes really good balls. He plays the ball really well as another headed save. And we just got peppered here at this point in the game. I was a little bit on edge as they kept making these corners in. Eventually, they pull in this header, goes up to the far post, and then a great header into the top left-hand corner that Johnson just can't get to. You'll see in the replay, it was really, really high in the corner, and I don't know how many other keepers in the game would have saved it. But yeah, that wraps up 1-1 just 2 minutes before the extra time, before the half time. So a little bit disappointing. But anyways, like I was saying, Pereira, he's done really well. A bit low on stamina. He's got great passing. He's really good at short passing, which I really need out of that cam. And the only other thing that I kind of expected a little bit more out of Pereira is that he gets forward a little bit more and he kind of attacks the ball, attacks the goal a little bit more to be able to make runs, to take shots, which I think we can find with a better cam. But right now he's doing good enough, I think. So yeah, I like Pereira, and I'm probably going to be using him for a while. He's not a bad cam. He's just not a great one, right? So yeah, hopefully we can develop him a little bit. Moving on to the centre mids, centre defensive mids more specifically. First up we have Fosu-Mensah. I'm pretty sure he's played almost every game, but he's been beautiful. He's been really good. He's nice and tall, very bulky, very strong, which I really feel like I need in every single team that I use. As the especially if their goalkeeper does a long kick over the top or anything like that, Fosu-Mensah is ready there. If it's just in front of the defense line, he's there and he wins a lot of aerial battles that you saw before. Anyway, just here at halftime, I was just talking about how we're very out of the game. It seems like the possession is all against us, and they have a lot more shots against us and stuff like that. But I felt like I was still in the game, and I was ready. Like I was still pushing on the door, and one more goal wasn't out of my reach. But yeah. Anyway, so like I was saying, Fosu-Mensah, he's very good. He's decent enough at passing. He's probably not the most creative player, but he's practically another defender just in front of the defense line, which is really decent, which I think is really important to break up play if need be. The other centre mid that we're using in this game, and I've used most of the other time, is Tim Carroll. He's been really good as well. He's a bit more creative. He makes a lot more passes out of the defense line, and he's decent enough at tackling and stuff like that. He's a very well-rounded midfielder, which I feel like I really need as well. The only downside that Tim Carroll has over Fosu-Mensah is that he's not as big and he doesn't win as many aerial battles. But yeah, and he's a lot like Tim Carroll is a lot more suited to a cam almost than a defensive-minded midfielder. However, having him a little bit deeper than Pereira allows him to take a couple long shots. So that's probably his main problem, is these defensive midfielders, they need to be able to take long shots, as they are always kind of at the edge of the box and stuff like that. So a long shot taker would be really good in that defensive role. And if they're a nice big stocky player, all the better for my type of play style. Moving on to the defence, we have Callum Chambers on the right. I feel like he's done really well. As you can see him kind of getting burned for pace here, but he makes his way back in. But like I feel like he's done really well so far. He hasn't really made too many mistakes himself. He gets back, he makes lots of runs up the wing, which I really need out of my wing backs. When it comes to attacking, they really do push forward and act as an extra man up front, which I really think is important. The only thing that probably Callum Chambers doesn't have over other kind of world-class right backs would be his pace. He's a little bit slow on the ball, which is a little bit disappointing. But over time and over training, he is still young. He will get better to eventually be quicker overall. Otherwise, I think I will kind of change him out over the course of the time, because you definitely do need quick fullbacks if you are to make it through the Premier League in this career mode. Moving on to the left-hand side, we have Chiswell. Chiswell has been almost non-existent. I haven't noticed much of anything of him. He doesn't make a lot of runs like Callum Chambers does down the wing. He's probably just a little bit quicker, but even still, he just doesn't get involved in the game, I think, at all. So I really think Chiswell potentially one to get rid of. However, he does a job. I mean, like Callum Chambers, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's always back on defense, and he's a very deep player. He doesn't really get involved in the attack much. So Chiswell probably one to watch for later on, because yeah, he's probably not up to scratch, but we'll probably need a new left back eventually. But he's not doing badly yet, so he's still decent. Moving on to the centre backs. So far we've used Twanzebe, and he has been perfect. Nice tall defender. He wins aerial battles. He makes a lot of tackles. He just feels good on the ball. He's really he's decent with all of his tackling and stuff like that. So I honestly see Twanzebe staying in the team for a long time still to come. He does really well. So yeah, I'll probably keep Twanzebe for a long time still to come. Really impressed with him. He's probably one of the standout players in the team. The other centre back, obviously, we were using Joe Gomez, but we're kind of fluctuating between Joe Gomez and Holgate in the other centre-back role. This transfer window is all about getting a new centre-back. I feel as soon as we get a new centre-back or two, Joe Gomez and Holgate will be able to play as left and right back, just as well as rotation. But as centre-backs, they've been decent as well. So I feel as though, especially in this game, Holgate he wasn't as good as we did have with Joe Gomes. However, he did a job, and that's kind of all I expect from them, as they're just kind of rotational players until we get a full starting 11 in their right positions. But they didn't do poorly by any stretch of the imagination. So they've done really well, which I was really happy with. But yeah, as you can see, he's getting tackled here and now as well. But yeah, that was decent. They've been playing really well. And when it comes to goalkeepers, the only player we've obviously used is Johnson, and he's done immaculate. Honestly, like some of the saves you've seen in this game, especially, and in the road to getting up to this place, he's done really well. And I think, again, Johnson's one of the people that has impressed me the most. At the moment, probably the most influential players in the team has been Twanzebe, has obviously been Callum Chambers, Johnson, and Ibrahimovic. All three of those guys have done really well, and have impressed me just this whole time so far, I would say. But anyways, as you can see, we're just making a couple of subs. I was going through who should I change out, which bringing in obviously another attack-minded player in Onoma. We got Zelalem, we got Rashford out on the right. I wanted to try and use Rashford and Ibrahimovic up front, like obviously we were doing with the in the last game, and it eventually turned out to be a goal, which was really good. But anyways, as you can see, our subs coming in together as we get a foul. And recently as well, I've been taking really good free kicks, getting it around or up above the wall and stuff like that, and getting it on target, and really testing the keeper. Pulling out a lot of, I haven't scored too many out of them, but I've definitely got a lot of deflections and on target. So I'm just trying to tweak it up a little bit to get to the point where I am scoring every single one. Unfortunately, that one just hit one of the defenders on the way through. However, like I was saying, this team, it probably needs minor adjustments for next season. In the next transfer window, I definitely want to bring in a lot of players. Like, through pre-contracts, I honestly think that we can bolster up this team to have what we have right now is a 70 kind of rated overall as like the average, to a team which is around the 75 to 80, because we will have the funds as Manchester United, which is really important. I feel like doing that has made it a little bit easier. However, it's all about this development. Obviously, we have to get a couple of youth players in that the board expects of us. But yeah, I really think this team can almost guarantee me getting through this first season in the EFL League 2. Just probably only a few extra little tweaks here and there. And what I've decided to do as well is through the through the transfer windows, we're going to do a real life football challenge between me and my brother and my mate, something like that. So you'll see in the next episode after this one, the football challenge that we have done. And from there, I'll explain how exactly these football challenges will relate to the transfer window. So stay tuned for the next episode. We do have a bit of stuff planned for that one, so it will be a bit of an exciting episode. I'm gonna try and mix up how the way these career modes work. Obviously, with many career modes by some of the big YouTubers, MGH and some of them, their content, and I feel especially, gets a little bit boring after a while. They just seem to they just kind of do the same thing over and over again, and that's not what I want to do. I almost want to do a different type of episode every single time. Obviously, in the first episode, we did a massive post-com of not any gameplay, just a bit about the club and stuff like that. The second episode, obviously, we had a whole episode dedicated to just gameplay and post-comming it. This one was supposed to be a live game, however, unfortunately that wasn't the case. So obviously we're doing a post-com of the whole entire game. Next episode will have a lot of transfer business and almost guaranteed to be predominantly live. However, obviously we have to do post-com, or at least you'll see the football challenge kind of as it happens, right? So that'll be a little bit different as well. And obviously I want to kind of change it up a little bit. So if you have any suggestions, leave it down in the comment section down below. Anyways, as you can see, we get to penalties, and first penalty, they miss. So I was a little bit on edge straight away. I thought we missed the first penalty in the last one and we won. So hopefully that doesn't give us the same fate. Anyways, here we are. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the saviour of this whole career mode so far, sticks it into the left-hand side of the goal. Beautiful way to start off this penalty shootout. 1-0. Obviously, it's been a really big big game throughout the whole thing. As you saw with the stats just before, they almost quadrupled our shots throughout the game. They really, you would almost say by the stats alone, they deserve to win the game in regulation time. However, here we are in the penalty shootout, probably our best chance throughout the whole game to win the game. Right now, we're at 2-2 with a kick to come from Zelalem. But yeah, so obviously, yeah, we almost had a chance as well, as you saw through the highlights in that last second as they pushed men forward. But yeah, as you can see, they've now missed another penalty as well. So now they've missed a total of 2 penalties while we've scored 3. This last penalty by Tonzebi, one of our best players so far, the centre back, to be able to win the game for us. I was nervous, guys, 100%. And we go straight down the middle to score. Twanzebi gets to do a dab on the way out. But guys, I'm not gonna lie, this penalty shootout definitely freaked me out. I was definitely pretty kind of on edge the whole time. We were probably out of the game, as the stats showed, like I was saying as well. And it was a little bit difficult. Like I said, we recorded this whole thing live as well. So I obviously had that kind of pressure from you guys, from obviously recording it live. So that's probably why the game was kind of skewed against them, as I did have that kind of distractions. However, I was really happy, obviously, scoring our goal with Fosu Mensah, and then conceding their goal, which was a little bit disappointing after giving away so many headers. As I think I showed that goal. Yeah, I did, obviously. Them doing the corner, plays it in on the top of the other player's head, just lobs it back out, and then a beautiful header into that top left corner. However, we do luckily pull through and win the game in the penalty shootout. Axel Twanzebi goes straight down the middle while the keeper dives out of the way. And I was buzzing, guys. At this point, I felt so kind of like I was about to have a heart attack, but I definitely felt good to win this whole preseason tournament. I was very, very happy. So obviously we win the European International Cup. Did very well for myself. Obviously, I thought that there was definitely stuff to improve on. Obviously, like I was saying throughout all of this episode, probably bringing in another winger to really help Ibrahimovic up front. Obviously, we make a lot more money out of it, which I thought was really good. The board's very happy that we won the final. So we're in the good books with them. We still got an 80 manager rating up to top left, which I've noticed doesn't really affect anything really. Like, you obviously lose your job if it's so low, but obviously winning this competition hasn't increased it anyway. So hopefully we're doing really well in the league, like I'm showing. We went through some of the teams that we're going to be facing, obviously, in the league. And yeah, so hopefully we do really well. Like I said in the next episode, hopefully it'll just be completely transfer business, and we might have a bit of gameplay in that episode as well, depending on, obviously the season is very long in the EFL League 2 with so many teams in it, so there may be a potential that we do get a couple of, maybe 1 or 2 games in it. However, yeah, so that's kind of the main gist of how this career mode obviously will go. As you can see, some of the teams on the screen are quite difficult as well. Obviously, RB Leipzig. We obviously got a couple of other teams in that are in the England leagues as well, QPR, etc. We do a little bit of player trading, and like I was saying, I do really want to keep giving it to Tonzebi and Callum Chambers. Like I said, they've been great. What I might do eventually, Callum Chambers, like I said, you can't train pace, which is one of his main problems, which I think is with Callum Chambers. So what I might eventually do is change out Callum Chambers' drills to give it to Johnson, because Johnson obviously only needs 2 drills. They can only do 2 drills as a goalkeeper. And right now, Johnson probably looks like one of the only players that's kind of safe from getting replaced, because I feel like Johnson, especially with the right training week in, week out, really will help us out throughout the whole season. As you can see, we've got some cup ties coming up, obviously, with the League Cup. We got the game against Torino, and then we obviously got a couple of league games. So we've only got about 2 weeks before the first game against Cologne, and then obviously, like I said, the EFL League Cup against Torino. We get a game against Dallas. We obviously got the Checker Race Trophy against CSKA, which will definitely be a hard game, and obviously a couple of league games. And we pretty much have, looking out, like I was saying in the live area part of this, we have a lot of fixtures. Pretty much, as you can see, we had a very congested December. January looks pretty good, which is good for the transfer window. But we pretty much have a game every single week. So yeah, it's going to be a grind, guys. It's got to be a long way to get through this career mode. But yeah, if you like I was saying, if you like this career mode, enjoy the content, leave a like on the video, subscribe for more of it. But yeah, like I said, if you have any suggestions, leave it down in the comment section down below. But that's it for me, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.